The more I discover belly dancing, the more I realize how much one can learn from other civilizations. And I sometimes resent the word culture because usually you don't get one culture per people, per civilization, per country. You don't get one culture in the Arabic world. You don't get one culture in the African or Pan African world. You don't get one culture in the French Isles. You don't get one culture in the French departments. I find it very frustrating to have to summarize one country with one culture, if that makes sense, because it is the most restraining exercise in the world. As I'm going along learning about belly dance cultures, I strongly would urge you to Google it because belly dancing, as coined a long time ago as a term, is not exactly appropriate. You have so many muscles involved other than the stomach areas, and the waist. With belly dancing, one must learn to respect what sort of beauty comes out of civilizations like Moroccan, Egyptian, and Turkish and Iraqi cultures. It is so varied. I was talking the other day to another Women's Institute group about how rich those many influences were, and I surprise myself every time I start thinking about it because really there is no end to discovering any sort of culture within any sort of dance, any sort of people within a country, if you like, within an area of the world, for instance, such as the Middle East or Spain or some part of Africa or another. Whenever you start learning a dance, you also learn about the people if you respect the item that you're approaching. You could just go there and learn about the movements. That wouldn't just be enough because you wouldn't learn about the people, you wouldn't learn about the dance and why the dance came to be. You have this etymology of any sort of expression, such as flamenco, such as valse musette in France, such as belly dance, one style or another. You have a lot of cultures in India, a lot of cultures in Asia, which are very rich areas of heritage. And it's a shame to just summarize everything with one movement or one set of movements or one term to globalize everything. When you have something like belly dance, there is so much to it. There is a lot of sensitivity and centuries of construction. It's like some kind of recipe. If you look at the history of, for instance, pancake, and you wonder why it was and how it came to be, and you maybe realize that it was born from some poor family who couldn't afford to have meat, for instance, and decided that Negimix would be all they could afford. And how did that develop into adding ingredients such as fruit and maybe ham, chives, and you have this great dish which could be, for instance, hundreds and hundreds of pounds at restaurants, which came from a very poor family. It's important to know where that came from so to respect it better. It's the same as dance, it's the same as any language. And in belly dance, it's been a passion for me because I've discovered so much about it, how it traveled the world, from Egypt, allegedly, to Morocco next door in North Africa, to Spain, to Turkey, to India, to China, and from China some influences were taken from there. I find similarities between some of the British dances, traditional British dances such as Morris dancing. Those movements with the sticks and the napkins and the towels, whatever cloth they use, are used in this dabke dances in, I believe, Egyptian dabke, for instance, far, far away by men traditionally. Those movements are exactly the same with the sticks, with the towels, and the Greeks use a lot of those towel movements, those napkin movements, for instance, in restaurants, in their dances. Anthropologically, how it came about for men to be identifying to those movements with the same props across the planet. And if you look at the way dance movements are so similar across the world, you realize how much of mankind's DNA is being shared across the planet. And this is a testimony to how much alike most of us are through music and movement, and how much of our intellectual and emotional cultural DNA is shared across continents. And this is one reason why dance is not just movement for me, it's also an exploration of mankind and philosophy and the history of man. I'm trying to convey this in to psychology of music, more generally speaking, because I believe that translating quantification and identifying movement to music can be used to identify and quantify music and its effect on the mind, more or less. And it's also a very interesting journey, as I explained. I never quite get tired of exploring things in belly dance. And so when people have these prejudices about belly dance, they don't understand this much. They don't understand how it's shared, how much of its luggage there is, and how many traditions there are. And I wish people would just look up things on the internet before speaking out at times. Anyway, that's just I was getting a bit nostalgic about this because I still wonder about sometimes the anthropological issues in there. And if you're interested in the history of belly dance and its cultural impacts onto mankind, or the cultural impacts it actually received and how it was shaped across the world, you should research it on the web and talk to somebody like a belly dancer or somebody who does lectures about it. And I think it's a great, great experience because when I do women's institutes, for instance, they're always very nice people in the UK. I get to express how much in awe of this art form I am, and also about its history, and also get to share the techniques and the fun of it. If you take up belly dance, remember, or any dance, remember to sort of research a bit on it. It's always fascinating. Anyway, have a good evening. Take care. Bye bye.